Are live. Like and subscribe to the channel. What's that? You can't hear me? Like and subscribe to the channel. I ain't messing around anymore. Hit the button. If you don't smash that button for Smash Mouth Sports, I'm going to smash you. It's really that simple. We're talking NBA basketball. Okay, you saw the logo. You saw the thumbnail. We appreciate you clicking on it. Send it to your friends and family. Get it out there to the ether if you're an NBA fan. If you hate the NBA fan, if you hate the NBA, then send it out twice. Okay? So here is the point. We're talking about, this is a fascinating story. I've got my guy Cam on, passionate Boston Celtics fan. Now, I'm going to start off with the topic of Danny Ainge. Were the Celtics right to fire Danny Ainge? I know the headlines are, oh, Danny Ainge, he had a little hot tea and he retired. No, he didn't retire.
No, he didn't.
He did not retire. They picked him up by his collar, threw him down the stairs, and
gave his job to Brad Stevens. Yeah.
They gave his job to Brad Stevens because at the end of the day, and Cam is going to get into this, there's a divide. There has been a divide in the last couple of years between Danny Ainge's vision and Brad Stevens' vision. There's been a divide. Now, I'm going to go to Cam before I go too deep into this. And Cam, as a Celtics fan, give me your take on out with Danny Ainge promoting Brad Stevens.
Had to happen. It was time. It had to happen. Danny Ainge has had numerous health issues. I hope his health is in good order. So I just want to get that out there. Obviously, we all hope he's healthy.
Yep.
It's become apparent the last couple of years that Ainge has been kind of hands-off. The Celtics have been very lackadaisical with their movement ever since they traded for Kyrie Irving.
Yep.
And Stevens also, he lost the team. So he's not the coach anymore. He's going upstairs to run the team as a GM. He's going to make the roster decisions. There's going to be a new coach. As of now, they say the three leading candidates are Chauncey Billups.
Okay, because I want to write this down because you're in it. So we got Chauncey Billups. So Chauncey Billups is the number one candidate. Okay, let's go with Chauncey. We can dive on that. So Chauncey Billups,
Sam Cassell.
Oof, okay, I know people like him, but okay, Sam Cassell. He could be good, but okay.
And Carol Lawson.
And remind me who Carol Lawson is.
She is the coach of the Duke women's team, who was on Brad Stevens' staff last year down in the bubble. And she right now is the third betting favorite in Vegas to be the head coach.
Oh, my God. So Carol Lawson, who I've never heard of until just now, nobody cares about Carol Lawson. I know woke media, if she gets suggested, like if they do some more shows about her, ESPN First Take and all the shows, and Skip and all the guys, if they do a show about her, they bring her on, they interview her, the media is going to be fawning all over themselves over Carol Lawson. Okay?
Correct.
I've not researched Carol Lawson. I'm glad you brought that up because I was going to get into Coach K. The rumor mill is that Coach K, not as a head coach, but Coach K will also be brought in as a consultant, is the rumors that I'm hearing. Now, if you have Coach K as a consultant, that's huge. If you had Brad Stevens as a GM, he's another smart guy. Him and Coach K will get along well. So if there were to be a team, and this would be the first NBA team to hire a head coach as a woman, is that correct?
Correct.
So they would be breaking news. Now, the fans, as we've seen, have gotten rowdy in Boston and other places. We'll get into that in a minute. I'm telling you right now, if the Boston Celtics think that hiring a woman is going to make the people of MIT and Harvard happy, and when I mean MIT and Harvard, I don't mean when they're at their day job and they're giving board meetings and PowerPoint presentations saying how great this is.
You mean when they're at the Boston Garden?
I'm talking about the same guy at 8 a.m. that praises a move is going to be the same guy at 8 p.m. that's going to be throwing water bottles and throwing beer bottles, okay, if their team loses. I'm just telling you right now, this Boston Celtics fan base has been promised championships over these last 10-plus years.
And they haven't got it.
Right. When was the last one? 2008?
2008.
That's a long – Cam, I'm just saying that's a long time. That's a long time. The Celtics are a great organization.
It's 1 in 35 years.
Okay. You've got one win in 35 years.
Correct.
One. Kevin – in fact, there's no way around this. The guy that threw the water bottle, we're going to get into that. We're not going to get too deep into it. But at the end of the day, I don't want fans throwing beer or water bottles at other fans. I don't want them throwing at the players or the refs. That's idiotic.
It is.
It's stupid. This guy's an idiot, and this guy is going to get what's coming to him. However, when I'm hearing 10 years in prison, and I'm hearing assault weapon with a water bottle. Guys,
they're making an example out of him.
They're making an example out of this guy. Look, I don't have a problem if they make an example out of this guy. And, you know, a few weeks in jail, whatever the bare minimum is. But I got to be honest, this guy's been doxxed. You know, his Facebook, his Twitter, it's all been deleted. This guy's getting death threats. This guy's he thought it would be funny. He wanted his 15 minutes of fame, and he got it.
He did.
He got what he wanted. He knew he was drunk. He was pissed. He thought, this is going to be funny. My friends are going to love it. Well, maybe his 5 best friends thought it was funny. But I'm telling you right now, his 5 best friends do not find it funny. Because you want to know why? Because even if they secretly go to the bar and they find it funny, they're not going to want to be around this guy. They're not going to want to go to the Celtics bar and see, oh, that's the guy. And that's the guy. Okay?
No, it's true.
I'm just saying, I don't want fans doing this, but at the same token, this guy, unfortunately, because of this overreaction society we're in, this guy's going to take
his life. His life is over.
His life is, yeah. I mean, he's in a rough shape. Every time he applies for a job, Cole Buckley, Cole Beasley, whatever. I even saw one thread that called him Cole Beasley, Cole Buckley, whatever the guy's name is. And what made it worse, they said Braintree, Massachusetts. They didn't have to go and talk and give a live on the air. They circled it. They underlined it. They gave his address. This guy is dragged through the mud, right?
He is. They've made an example out of him, 100%. And this is where, again, we all were so happy to see fans back in the buildings. I mean, I went to a Red Sox game a couple weeks ago. It was phenomenal to be back in Fenway Park, or back in venues, period. But there's already been – we're in the first round of the playoffs. And there's already been 5 incidents in the NBA involving fans.
Right.
So, I mean, we've all been cooped up for a year, locked in our houses due to the pandemic. We're all happy to be back at arenas, but we have to act with some civilization. Now, does this kid's life deserve to be over? No. He was drunk, and he made a very dumb decision. I have no problem if they throw him out of the building, ban him from the building. That's fine. You reap what you sow. But 10 years in prison, I mean, come on. It didn't hit him. It didn't hit him. It missed him.
Yeah,
it didn't hit Kyrie.
Look, if he would have hit Kyrie and he would have been bleeding or he would have been cut or he would have been severely injured in any capacity,
made it 10 times worse.
You could have said, okay, we're going to throw the book at this guy. And I want to be a little tough because, you know, I know people are like, well, it's a problem. Look, it's a problem, but it's not as bad as the media is portraying it. Yes, you don't want to see this. The difference is everything that happens in the arena. Everything that happens in the arena is filmed. Everything.
No, you're on camera everywhere.
So if a guy's sitting there, throws popcorn on his girlfriend or drags his girl, it's too rough for her, that's on camera. So these are all things that always happen at all these events that just were not on camera. They were not filmed.
Correct.
So we've got to, and we'll get to Kara Lawson in a minute here, but I want to finish this with Danny Ainge and with Brad Stevens. By the way, I remember you telling me a couple years ago how great Brad Stevens was and how he was such a great coach, and he was by far a better coach than Steve Kerr, by far the best coach in the league. Any thoughts on that, Cam, before we dive a little bit deeper into this Danny Ainge, Brad Stevens? Now that he's no longer, the head coach, he's the general manager, which you could say is a promotion, but
I was wrong.
At least you admit that. Warms my heart. But it takes a big man to admit that you were wrong. Look, I like Brad Stevens. I do think Brad Stevens is a great coach. I'm not blaming all of the problems on him. I'm not blaming all the problems on Danny Ainge. In fact, Cam, I don't know, and by the way, I like Colin Cowherd. We're going to be doing some shows here that's going to be coming after him in these next couple weeks. We'll get to that later. We'll save that for a rainy day. But for right now, with Colin Cowherd, everybody knows, Fox Sports. He did a great show today. I kind of watched the highlights of his show today when I got home. And here's what was interesting. He touched on a lot of interesting stories. And one of the things that was interesting that he touched on was the fact that he said the reality of the situation. And you're not going to want to hear this as a Celtics fan, but I feel that it's got to be said. Boston fans are not racist. There's an element of that people want to bring up. You can get into that in a minute. But the big element that I said, Anthony Davis is not going to the Celtics. Kawhi Leonard is not going to the Celtics. You cannot win a championship if top tier – look, You can get a lower tier. You can get a Kemba Walker. You can get those kind of guys, and these other kind of guys coming around. Isaiah Thomas, those kind of guys, Tristan Thompson. But at the end of the day, if Boston cannot attract elite top 5 talent, top 15, top 18 is not going to cut it. If you cannot recruit top 3, top 4, top 5 talent, you're not going to win.
Correct.
Period.
Kevin Garnett, when they got him.
Danny Ainge did in my opinion, he did a great job. I know people are like, oh, it's time to go. And because of his health, it's time to move on. But I'll say this. They promoted Brad Stevens, which was smart, so that's going to bail him out because he understands the system. He knows he's been there for 8+ years. So I do think Brad Stevens is going to get. But at the end of the day, Danny Ainge is the one that drafted Jaylen Brown. That was a good move. That was not a consensus pick. There was uncertainty on both sides. Jason Tatum. I know we look at it now, one of the best young guys in the league. That was also a brilliant pick, but you know what a lot of people were saying? Markelle Fultz. Markelle Fultz was the number 1 player. And I saw one preseason game. I said, Cam, thank your lucky stars, because Markelle Fultz can't play basketball.
Correct, he can't. And that's one of my biggest losses. I was upset when they made that trade.
He's a journeyman. He's a middle of the road guy, whatever, lower tier guy. Not even middle of the road. He's a lower tier guy. We're talking about Markelle Fultz. But at the end of the day, Danny Ainge did a great job. Now, I did think Danny Ainge got a little too cute because, like you said, he fleeced the Nets before. Isn't that, would you talk about, you want you to hear about karma, you reap what you sow? Isn't it ironic? The team that he fleeced, the Nets, I know they were in New Jersey at the time and now they're Brooklyn. The team that he fleeced is the team that got him fired.
It's ironic, isn't it?
Isn't that ironic? The team that he built his empire on, getting all the picks, getting Garnett, getting all these guys for Pierce, and getting all these picks, all these guys, all these picks, all these great players to get Tatum and Brown and all these other fancy moves he did. Since then, he really was not the same. So you fleeced him one time, but teams are like, it's almost as if it came back to bite him in the butt.
It did. And here we are, 8 years after that trade. One of the guys, one of the first-round picks they got in that trade was the first-round pick they traded for Kyrie Irving. So the team he fleeced and the guy he traded for got him fired.
That's a great point. The team he fleeced and the team he traded for came back to bite him.
Correct.
And I'm no fan of Kyrie Irving. I want to be real clear on that. Okay?
And you've been very consistent.
I'm not a fan of Kyrie Irving. And I want to say this, and I don't care.
You've never been a fan of Kyrie Irving.
I don't care if this video gets 500,000 dislikes. I hope it does. Okay? Because with Kyrie Irving, everybody's talking about this Cole Buckley character. And this guy was wrong for throwing the bottle. Everybody's acting like Kyrie is this gentleman. Kyrie's this sophisticated guy and is not antagonistic. Okay. When you call a whole city racist, when you step on their logo, when you say that you were threatened, when you say these horrible things that for all intents and purposes you probably made up in many of these scenarios.
When you act like you're the Dalai Lama.
And you do all these weird things. You're talking about flat earth. You're talking about aliens. You're pretending to be Native American. All these wild stories that are out there. I mean, this guy is literally Alex Jones 2.0.
Oh, big time.
That's who he is.
He's Kanye with handles is what someone wants to call him.
Kanye with handles. And look, Kyrie's a great basketball player. I said this to Cam several years ago when I found out that Kyrie was complaining about teaming with LeBron James. When he was upset that LeBron was coming back, when he wanted to get out because he felt the plane needed to be bigger for Kyrie, the seats needed to be bigger for Kyrie, more billboards, more everything for Kyrie.
LeBron was allowed to stay in Miami and party, and he wasn't. Right.
Kyrie is a flake.
He is.
Kyrie is an absolute flake. So at the end of the day, I'm not impressed with him, but be careful what you wish for with Danny Ainge because he did make a lot of good moves. I mean,
he did.
How different would this team be if he drafts Markelle Fultz instead of Jason Tatum?
Oh, he would have been fired 2 years ago.
Carry the 3, add the 2, all these picks, and blah, 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 blah. If that one move happened where he had Markelle Fultz instead of Jason Tatum, we're not talking about a 4 seed. We're talking about a non-playoff team.
Oh, big time.
They had Markelle Fultz instead of Tatum. That's how great Tatum is.
Jason Tatum's their only hope.
Because Jaylen Brown is injured, and he could recover. And even Jason Tatum, you could tell this last game, his back was tightening up, his legs were giving out on him.
There was no one else Brooklyn had to defend.
The pressure of carrying a team and carrying the burden, you could tell was weighing on Jason Tatum. And Jason Tatum's great, and he's going to be great. He's going to continue to be great. But they got to give him some help.
Correct.
Because a beat-up Kemba Walker, a beat-up Jaylen Brown, just a very overrated Tristan Thompson, and the rest of that roster is not going to cut it, right?
No, I agree with you. And I think this was a necessary move. I'm looking forward to who they hire as a coach. My personal preference is I want Chauncey Billups, or I want a guy who's been in the league and won. That's Chauncey Billups. That's Sam Cassell, someone who's been in the league and won. That's a big thing for me that players will respect. Those are my top two choices. Some people around here are saying Kevin Garnett. I don't think that's realistic.
No, I think he would be terrible. He's a terrible communicator. He would be
He's also made too much money. He's had no desire to coach. He just tried to buy the Timberwolves, and A-Rod outbid him. What's his desire to coach? So if they want to bring him in as an advisor or as part owner, that's fine, but he's not going to coach.
Yeah, you're right. He's made too much money. He's not going to coach. He's not going to deal. Look, Kevin Garnett's what? He's in his 40s now. He's got hundreds of millions of dollars. You think he's going to deal with 19 and 20-year-old kids?
No.
When he tells those guys to run laps, and he's like, hold on, coach, I've got a great Instagram stream going here. He's going to be like, what are you guys – like, he's not going to want to deal with these guys. He's not going to want to deal with these guys. So last thing we'll get into, you brought up Carol Lawson, didn't know much about her. Now I see you talking about – I've seen her now on SportsCenter. She was a SportsCenter broadcast. She's done a few things. She won a gold medal. So she was for those that don't know, she's 5'9", 150 pounds, 40 years old. She was a 5th overall pick for the Detroit Shock. She was a WNBA player. And it looks like, so she didn't even play for the Shock, but she got traded before that, the Sacramento Monarchs. So she played for many years. She was a coach for 1 year for the Boston Celtics as an assistant.
On Brad Stevens' staff last year down in the bubble, correct.
On Brad Stevens' staff. And then as a coach.
She went to the Duke women's team.
For Duke. So she's been a coach for 2 years.
Correct.
Now, I understand she was a WNBA player, but are you going to tell me that everybody loves to talk about Tim Tebow doesn't deserve the opportunity? People love to say that, even though I believe he does. With all the experience he has. He's definitely earned it. He actually played in college, played in the pros, won a playoff game. She's never won a playoff game.
No,
as a head coach. She's not won a playoff game. Okay?
Correct.
Because Boston Celtics, she was an assistant. Okay, so you're probably right. She probably is higher on this depth chart because she knows Stevens. She was an assistant for a year. You're talking about 2 years as a coach, 1 year as an assistant, 1 year as a head coach. 1 year.
Correct.
1 year as an assistant, 1 year as a head coach in college for women, and you're telling me straight up that one of the top 2 or 3 NBA franchises to give the keys to the kingdom.
I mean, I wouldn't get nothing to do if
We're not talking about the Minnesota Timberwolves here. We're not talking about
the Memphis Grizzlies.
The Memphis Grizzlies. We're talking about the Boston Celtics here. That's
one of the
crazy to me.
Teams in the league, right?
Right. That's crazy to me.
If they think she's qualified, and if she's qualified, why not? But if she's not, no, I'm not just going to give it to her because she's a woman. If she's qualified, that's one thing. You hire the best person for the job. My personal opinion is that that's Chauncey Billups. Okay,
Chauncey Billups is way more qualified.
He's on the Clippers staff right now under Tyronn Lue.
Right. I think Chauncey Billups is phenomenal. I think Chauncey Billups has earned it. Look, Carol Lawson will probably, if she doesn't get this job, she will get a job because the media is clamoring for a female to get the head coach. They're clamoring for it. The media is clamoring for it, and we'll see what happens. We're going to see a lot of this over the next 4 to 5 years. We're going to see a lot of traditional roles get flipped on the script. We're going to be changing. We're going to go to this next 4 or 5 years are just going to be totally wild with totally new things. So, we'll see how it goes. If she does get the job, I wish her well. I hope it all works out. But I think it's, Becky Hammon, if you're going to pick a female, to me, she deserves it.
She's on the Spurs staff.
She's been on the Spurs staff for a few years now. If anybody deserves it, to me, she would be the one that would get it because she's actually filled in and coached several games because Popovich either got a technical foul or let her do it or a multitude of reasons and this and this. So she actually has coached a couple games.
Correct.
As a head coach. She's actually done it a few times. So
yes.
I wish her the bit well. Like and subscribe to the channel. Cam, anything else you want to say before we end this bad boy?
Quick thoughts on the Lakers falling apart without Anthony Davis and LeBron walking off the court with 5 minutes to go last night.
I wasn't even going to get into that, but let's go for it.
I think the Lakers I think Frank Vogel is probably going to get fired.
Whoa, really? Frank Vogel's going to get fired 1 year after winning the chip? He's going to get fired.
I mean, no coach with LeBron's ever safe. So we all know that. I mean, how many coaches has that guy had? From Mike Brown to Spoelstra to Blatt to Ty Lue, Luke Walton, and now with Frank Vogel. I just don't think any coach with him is ever safe. I think he'll be the scapegoat. I think that they're going to put this all on him, even though it's really no one's fault. Injuries happen, and the Lakers have been banged up all year. Now Anthony Davis is out, and reports came out today that LeBron told him don't rush back because LeBron knows they're not going anywhere this year, and he needs Davis ready to go next year.
You know what else the reports are with Anthony Davis? Because he's had a lot of injuries.
Correct. He had a lot. Last year was the first time he really stayed healthy.
Yeah, and you know why he stayed healthy? Because he got honestly, they got lucky because they had 4.5 months off.
With the shutdown,
Yeah. They probably don't win. They probably don't win because Anthony Davis probably gets injured. He fought through the injuries because he was able to kind of pace himself in blocks. Anthony Davis is a great athlete. He is a great basketball player, but he does not stay in shape. He does not do the things that LeBron and Kawhi and the other elite athletes do to stay in shape year round. He's a 6'10.5". He's big, he's strong, he's physical, he's elite in everything, but he's brittle. Anthony Davis is brittle. Okay, I'm not going to say that he's the Jimmy G of the league, but he looks very close to that level. Anthony Davis is so brittle. He's elite, but he is brittle. And I'm telling you right now, LeBron James is great. I do expect them to lose to the Suns. I don't expect them to take it to the next level. At the end of the day, we'll see what happens. But look, LeBron is on the tail end of his career. He's 36. He's going to be 37.
He's been in the league half his life now.
He's beat up. I'm telling you, LeBron is beat up. And look, a lot of people thought this Lakers team was going to be great. They brought in your boy Dennis Schroeder. They brought in Drummond. They brought in, they brought back Kuzma, Gasol. This team is old. This team is old. They don't have the young guns. They don't have the shooters that they need. At the end of the day, I don't think they got what it takes. And the last thing I'll say with the fans is, look, we're having a culture problem in general. Okay, that people it's not about the NBA or the NFL or this league or that league. It's about people in general need to be more respectful of people in general.
Big time.
Regardless of your political affiliation, regardless of your religious affiliation, we need people to come together and be more respectful. Period.
Not everybody's going to agree with you.
And I could go on another 20-minute rant about the reason for that, but I'm gonna end it right there. Like and subscribe to the channel. Thanks again. We appreciate it.